Dyson just released its very first handheld only vacuum, and if you crack it open and compare it to a stick vacuum that's been sitting on shelves since 2016, the motor, the battery, the cyclone, even the dustbin are almost identical. That one detail changes everything about whether you should actually buy this thing, and I'm going to walk you through exactly why before you spend $1 on it. Welcome to Sweep Gear, where we dig into the research and the real-world performance so you don't have to guess whether a vacuum is actually worth your money. This is the situation most people are dealing with. Your robot vacuum handles the floors just fine, but it can't touch your car interior, the seams of your couch, or the stairs, and every cheap handheld vacuum you've tried promises serious suction, then barely lifts a few crumbs off the seat. If you've got a dog or a cat riding along in the car, or kids who treat the back seat like a snack bar, you already know that frustration. That's the gap Dyson is aiming at with the Car+Boat. It runs a motor that spins up to 110,000 RPM and produces up to 115 air watts of suction, and Dyson says it'll run for up to 50 minutes on a single charge. Those numbers put it well ahead of most handheld vacuums in this price range. But here's where it gets interesting. That 50-minute runtime figure is measured under the easiest possible condition, low power mode, with the plain crevice tool attached, not the motorized brush. Most people aren't going to clean that way. Stick around, because I'll tell you exactly what runtime looks like once you're using this thing the way you actually would in your driveway. There's also a naming question a lot of people have before buying this. It's called the Car+Boat. So can it actually go near water? I'll answer that directly in a few minutes. Let's talk about how it actually performs, because this is where the vacuum earns its price tag or doesn't. On hardwood and tile, it's genuinely excellent. Scatter flour and sugar across the floor and run it through once, forward and back, and it clears everything in a single pass. That's a level of performance you don't always get from full-size cordless vacuums, let alone something built to fit in one hand. Carpet is a little more nuanced. On standard power, it struggled to fully clear heavier debris like cereal and lentils scattered on carpet. Switch it into max mode though, and it cleaned everything in one pass. So the takeaway here is simple. For carpet and rugs, plan on using max mode, not the standard setting. Pet hair is one of the biggest reasons people consider this vacuum, and it holds up well here. The motorized brush tool does a solid job lifting hair off upholstery and car seats. It's not flawless though. On padded furniture with a lot of embedded pet hair, some of the finer, more stubborn strands needed multiple passes, even in max mode. So if you've got a heavy shedder, expect to go over problem areas more than once. Not because the vacuum is weak, but because deeply embedded hair is genuinely hard for any handheld to fully clear in one pass. The tool set is one of the strongest parts of this whole package. You get a crevice tool long and narrow enough to slide 7 inches into gaps as small as ½ inch. Exactly what you need for the space between a car seat and the center console. A mini motorized brush for fabric, mats, and upholstery, and a combination tool that switches between a wide nozzle and a soft brush for dashboards and delicate trim. None of these feel like filler. Each one solves a real problem you'll actually run into. The dustbin is bigger than you'd expect from something this size, holding around 18 ounces, more than a lot of the competition. Emptying it is hands-free too. One pull on a lever and the bin flips open, dumping everything straight into the trash. Both filters are washable, so you're not stuck buying replacements every few months like you are with a lot of other handhelds. Over a few years, that adds up to real savings you won't see on the price tag at checkout. Quick heads up before you use this on hard floors. The motorized brush can actually fling larger debris like cereal or dried lentils because the brush spins fast enough to scatter it before the suction catches it. The fix is simple. Switch to the crevice tool for anything bigger and let it pull that debris up directly instead of brushing over it. Let's get into where this vacuum actually falls short, because only telling you the good stuff isn't helping you decide anything. The single most repeated complaint is the trigger. There's no on-off switch and no lock. You have to physically hold it down the entire time you're cleaning. For a quick 5-minute job, that's fine, but during a full interior detail or a deep clean around the house, your hand and forearm start to feel it. If you deal with any grip or wrist fatigue, factor that in before buying. It's also heavier than most dedicated handhelds, coming in at just over 4 pounds. That doesn't sound like much until you're holding that weight with your finger locked on the trigger for 10 or 15 minutes straight, and longer sessions get noticeably more tiring than they would with a lighter button-operated handheld. Now, back to that name. Despite being called the Car+Boat, this is not a wet-dry vacuum. It cannot pick up liquid, spills, or anything wet. It's built for dry debris only. Dust, crumbs, dry dirt, pet hair, and sand. On a boat, it'll happily clean a dry cabin, dry cushions, and dry storage areas, but keep it far from spills or bilge water. That's a genuine point of confusion worth knowing going in. And that brings us to the biggest question of all. Is this actually a new vacuum or an old one wearing a new outfit? Based on the internals, the Car+Boat shares its motor, cyclone system, battery, and dustbin with the Dyson V8, a stick vacuum that first came out back in 2016. What's different is that Dyson stripped away the wand and floor cleaner head and bundled in the 3 handheld tools instead. That's a real advantage if you don't already own a Dyson stick vacuum. But if you already own a Dyson V8, V11, V15, or newer, all of which convert to handheld mode by removing the wand, you already have this exact functionality sitting in your closet. That's really the deciding factor for most people. The V8 stick vacuum is often priced only $50 to $100 more than the Car+Boat, and it includes the wand and floor head for whole home cleaning on top of everything the Car+Boat does. When the price gap is small, the V8 is almost always the smarter buy, since you get handheld and floor cleaning in one machine. If you're on a tighter budget and your messes tend to be light, a basic dustbuster style handheld around $80 will handle crumbs and light dust fine, though it won't match the suction. And if pet hair is your main battle, a pet-focused handheld from a brand like Shark is a reasonable middle ground at a lower price. If you're finding this breakdown useful and want to check today's price or see what deals are currently running, I've left the product link down in the description below. One more detail worth knowing: you can charge this through a standard 12-volt car lighter socket using an optional Dyson accessory. If you travel a lot or you're keeping this on a boat or in an RV without easy wall access, that's a handy option most buyers don't know exists. So let's put this together. Who should actually buy the Dyson Car+Boat? If you don't already own a Dyson stick vacuum and you want a dedicated, powerful handheld for your car, stairs, upholstery, mattresses, and pet hair touch-ups, this is a strong pick, especially at its more common sale price of $190 to $250 rather than the full list price closer to $300. Who should skip it? Anyone who already owns a Dyson V8 or newer, since you already have this capability built in. Anyone who needs true wet cleanup for spills, since this isn't built for that. And anyone who mainly deals with light, occasional messes, since a much cheaper handheld will do the job just fine. At full price, this sits in a tough spot next to Dyson's own stick vacuum lineup. Discounted, it becomes one of the more compelling handheld vacuums you can buy. It's not really about whether this is a good vacuum. It clearly is. It's about whether it's the right vacuum for what's already sitting in your closet, and now you know how to answer that for yourself. If this helped you figure out whether the Car+Boat makes sense for your setup, tap that like button. It really helps this channel keep putting out straight, research-backed reviews instead of marketing copy. And if you like knowing exactly what you're buying before you buy it, go ahead and subscribe. Let me know in the comments, do you already own a Dyson stick vacuum, or would this be your first one? I read every comment, and I'll help you figure out which option actually makes sense for your situation.